Well, so you've been recording since, let's say, what year? Was it 2012 or 2011?
Yeah, like 2011, 2012. That's at the end of 2012. I got real serious with it, and like quit my job and started recording and putting out videos and traveling, going, doing shows and stuff.
But then when Drake took this song and remixed it, I mean, despite the fact that you've already been in the studio with the biggest, most poppin' producers in the game right now, and you were in the studio with Mike Will back in 2012, but still, when you heard that Drake remix, I think one of the most endearing parts of that entire story is that we got to see your reaction on IG, and it was just like pure joy, like glee, like excitement, like a little kid.
Yeah, definitely.
If you can kind of describe that moment, how did that happen?
I remember it being a rough Monday.
Okay.
And we were like really going through it, and like I just met back up with my friends for the rest of the night, just to calm down and have the good vibes and everything, and prepare for the next day. And then I was on Twitter, like Sunny Digital told me a few days before that Drake reached out and wanted to get on the track or whatever, and I was like, yeah, sure, send him the beat and whatever. And so
you were already hype about that.
Yeah, but it wasn't really. Yeah, it wasn't. Nobody said for sure if it was really.
It didn't feel real.
Happen. Yeah.
Okay.
So it was like, okay, yeah, sure. I thought maybe he wanted to rap, on the beat before he was gonna do a mixtape. I don't know what was gonna happen, so I didn't really sweat it. I was like, okay, cool, yeah, sure. And so I was just going on about my day, still recording. Like I was in the studio with Mike Will the whole day before that night, before the Drake remix came out and shit. And so we was just still going through everything, and it was like working hard. And then I was going home, and it was feeling like, damn, here we go again, another day home, like 3 a.m. And I feel like we still haven't got anything really accomplished other than I've came to the studio and made more songs and whatever.
But the block is still there, or the work is still never ending.
Yeah, it's still never ending. And so I went over to my friend's house and we were chilling, and then like somebody tweeted me Drake and Makonnen song would be fire or is fire, and I was like, yeah, that would be dope. And then somebody tweeted me the link, and then I was like, no way,
Yeah.
So I played it for my friends and shit, and then I heard my chorus and shit, and I was like, oh, this is probably somebody just gonna add an old Drake verse, just for their
like some bootleg remix.
Yeah, some bootleg
mashup.
remix. And then I heard him rapping, and it was just like, wow, I couldn't believe it. What the fuck? This is Drake. This is crazy. God, this is crazy. What the fuck? There's no way this is real right now.
This 2B camera, this.
Nobody flipping packs now. I just did 3 in a row. Hey.
Hey, this is Drake. It was just so, like I came from my bedroom making music in my room and like really grassroots in the streets. Like we always knew about Drake and all the other popular artists, but we were never really like sort of like, I don't know, doing things to catch their attention. Like how certain people were like, oh, I'll show up here so hopefully they can see me. It was just like, we were just doing us, you know what I'm saying? And just going hard, doing our thing, and it just started catching on. I guess they were taking notice and they really liked it, and he jumped on the track. It's genuine. So
it's funny because like now, Makonnen can tell this story and be very sort of calm and walk me through it, but I really encourage everybody to see that video because you like flipped in the most adorable, not to like take anything away from your manliness, but it was an adorable moment.
Yeah.
I do think it's interesting too that you're saying that it's not something that you were overtly going out of your way to get near somebody.
Yeah.
And I think especially in Atlanta, where there are so many music stars, at the mall, at the fast food joint.
Yeah.
You always hear stories about somebody just kind of knowing that this star is going to be around sooner or later, waiting around, and then when the moment came up, doing an entire routine and then getting signed.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like that's something that you hear. I don't know whether it's like a Justin Bieber thing or what. Mm-hmm. So knowing that you had put kind of all of your eggs in this basket, and this is what you wanted to do, and you felt like this is what you were meant to do, why is it that you didn't, like, is it a pride thing, or is it just not your personality, or did you feel like it was going to happen?
Nah, it's funny. I've reached out to everybody in Atlanta, damn near. You know what I'm saying? I was outside of studios telling people like, yo, let's record, let's get on tracks, and they was just playing me. You know what I'm saying? They was just like, whatever. Yeah, okay, you got a few little songs. We see your YouTube videos, how we laugh at them. It's cool, but it's nothing serious. You know what I'm saying? We're not trying to get in the studio, whatever. And so I was like, all right. And then I met Metro and Sonny, and they are serious. You know what I'm saying? They're like, yo, come by anytime. Let's get the work in. I went by their house. I went by Metro's house the first night, and we made 6 songs in the one night. And like 4 of the songs are on the EP. You know what I'm saying?
Wow. And this was back in
March. This was like March of this year. Yeah.
What do you think on the one hand, what was it that you think the other ones were dismissing? Because
you know what they were dismissing? They weren't confident in themselves. You know what I'm saying? They weren't confident to break a new artist or to have something brand new come out. They're just kind of like, a lot of people want to, it has to be accepted and okay first from others before people start saying, okay, oh yeah, that's cool. Yeah, now I want to work with you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But it was like, I've been there. I was very, what do you call it? Accessible. You know what I'm saying? And all that, but it was just, I guess people were afraid to take the risk of doing something different because they're afraid of the way they'll be looked at, or the way, what if Drake didn't like it? That's how a lot, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, what if they worked with me and Drake was like, oh, that shit's whack, and then, they felt like, oh, you know what I'm saying? So that's how a lot of people think. They always think about what other people think, and instead of what they think and what they feel is right. So
yeah, the industry is very Mean Girls.
Yeah.
It's there's all these cliques, and there's a lot of peer pressure. I think, it's probably realistic to also say, like, you look different than what they would expect from what a new artist that they're going to embrace is going to be. You know what I mean? You sound, you have different influences, whether it's from indie rock or whatever, like, that they're not familiar with or they're not comfortable with or whatever. So I think that's interesting. What do you think it was that's different about Metro Boomin and Sonny Digital that made them embrace you?
They're younger. They're more open-minded, and they're, they're experimental, and they're creative. They're real creatives. They're really true to the art. I don't think they're in it for so-called the money. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people's they aren't into music for the money. They're into music for the name, fame off of the shit. And, they aren't into music for music. It's just like, oh, I know if I can make a hot song, I'll get a lot of attention. A lot of girls will be on me.
Yeah.
And, I can get some free clothes and some money and blah, blah, blah. So that's really what a lot of people's thing is in the studio for, and what they want to do music for is for, like, the fame and the, all the other shit. But I think those Metro and Sonny and a few other ones down there, they're really true to the art and like making good music and like pushing the standard and making something for the times now.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
So it's like the difference between somebody only focusing on the end goal but not loving the process. So then they don't care how they get to the end goal.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay.
And they end up selling out and doing all type of crazy shit for,
Well, now that you have actually, I want to go back to the fact that Drake remixed Tuesday, and now that it's this big thing. How did you, after the song came out, or the remix came out, what happened next?
My phone started blowing up. Everybody wants to sign me. Everybody wants to, let's do beats now. Come work. Let's get in the studio. Oh, man, I always knew your shit was the dope. All that.
Wow.
Yeah,
Vapors, all type of.
Oh, man. The phones, they go off all day now.
So that's the Drake effect.
That's the Drake effect. Life after Drake. Nothing was the same. Seriously. I get Drake so much now. You know what I'm saying? I really understand the albums, his music, his lyrics, and all that shit. I'm like, damn, that's crazy.
Were you already a Drake fan, or was that like a different kind of music that you
I like Drake, but I wasn't like, you know what? My nephew and niece love Drake, right? So I couldn't escape Drake regardless. They would always play it in the house and always singing songs and all that. And, it was cool. I was like, that's great. Drake, I like his music and all that. But what happened is they were just overloading me on Drake. And I'm like, yo, I got to shake that. I got to go to my room and make my own music and stuff. So, it was like, and even in LA, like I always, when I went back out there and like, I think, when No Ceilings was out and he had, I think, Thank Me Later and shit out. Yeah, it was nice. His music is real for the times. You know what I'm saying?
Now, I want to talk to you about Atlanta because you know, I think like everything is happening there in such a dynamic way, but I think you're sort of a prime example of how in Atlanta there's also like all of the social circle rules and the kind of hierarchy of things are all like getting mixed up.
Yeah.
And
it's a clash of the classes out there. That's what I call it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if you saw 21 Jump Street, the movie.
Uh-huh.
And in the movie, you know, the guys, they go back to high school and they're kind of weirded out because they're used to, there's the jocks that run everything,
Mm-hmm.
there's the nerds that are losers, and, you know, everybody tries to be like the popular kids.
Yeah.
But when they get back there, they're looking at like the most poppin' clique. They're into like eco-friendly shit and they want to do like community service and all of these things, and they're kind of confused.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's sort of something like what's happening in Atlanta, where the people who might have been the weirdos or might have been the outcasts in, you know, a different era are now running shit.
Yeah.
So what was it like for you coming up in Atlanta? Like, do you feel like, is there a whole alternative scene?
Yeah, there definitely is. The trap scene has been big out there, you know what I'm saying? But I think what happened was when Gucci Mane kind of got, you know,
weird.
He got weird, but when he kind of got put in jail recently, the content and everything's kind of been open. And it's just been like an open field. I mean, Gucci's still putting out the trap, but when Gucci's out, he's really Atlanta. Like, he's broke all those new artists that came out of Atlanta. He's the first one to jump on them and all that shit. So it was like, damn, who's gonna break? You know, Gucci's not here no more to give nobody the cosign and, you know, whatever. So it was just kind of an open field, and like me and my friends or whatever, but you know, we've all been kind of doing this music or whatever, and so I was having the connections with you know, Gucci Mane's producers and shit, and so I guess it was just kind of like I just felt like responsibility, you know what I'm saying, for putting out music for, you know, the people, like, because Gucci Mane was gone and shit, and it's like, who else is gonna try to keep shit going? So I just was like, I can't be Gucci Mane, you know what I'm saying, but I know both lives, you know what I'm saying, so I could blend that with this, and then on this extension, you know, you start getting like Awful Records and all these other people being able to come in and bring their new, you know what I'm saying, wave to the forefront as well, rather than, you know, it's just like one-sided over there.
But so for you feel like, okay, so one thing that you're saying is that Gucci's presence is so pervasive in Atlanta.
Yeah.
That and also the volume of music that he puts out.
Yeah.
I mean, even though he is in prison, he's putting out
he's
more
still
music
holding it down. Yeah, than everybody out.
Which is mind blowing.
It is.
But the other thing about Gucci that I think is interesting is that even though he is so trap, there is a very surreal sort of weirdo side to Gucci, and he embraces that. So maybe that also sort of laid the foundation.
It did, definitely. It made it acceptable. You know what I'm saying? It does make it acceptable. I mean, from even when Young Thug and all them, like I've always known those guys down there in Atlanta making music. Like I remember Young Thug and Cash Out before I even started, you know what I'm saying, making music, and I was a fan of them. But everybody was like, they're weird, they're on that other shit, you know what I'm saying? And then like slowly but surely, you know, they start coming to the forefront, and then everybody starts doing the same, you know what I'm saying? And I was like, wow, that's so funny. Y'all was just like, this was weird 2 years ago. Now y'all are all on it, you know?